The world is changing faster than ever. Technology is advancing at a breakneck pace, reshaping industries and transforming the way we live, work, and interact with each other. From the rise of the internet to the ubiquity of smartphones, the digital revolution has brought about unprecedented levels of convenience, connectivity, and access to information. But with every revolution comes a period of adjustment, a reckoning with the unforeseen consequences of progress. While we celebrate the undeniable benefits of technological advancement, we must also confront the shadows it casts. The global financial system, once dominated by physical cash and traditional institutions, is undergoing a rapid and radical transformation. At the forefront of this financial revolution are central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. Unlike decentralized cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, which operate independently of governments and central banks, CBDCs are digital versions of existing fiat currencies, issued and controlled by the very institutions that have long held sway over our monetary system. Proponents of CBDCs tout their potential to modernize payments, increase financial inclusion, and combat illicit activities. However, beneath the surface of these seemingly benign promises lies a deep and unsettling truth. CBDCs represent a seismic shift in the balance of power between individuals and the state, granting governments and central banks an unprecedented level of control over our financial lives. Imagine a dollar bill. Now, imagine that instead of paper and ink, it exists solely as lines of code on a computer network. That, in essence, is a CBDC. It's not a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, which operates on a decentralized network. Instead, it's more akin to a digital twin of your existing fiat currency, issued and backed by your government's central bank. Think of it as a digital representation of the money you have in your bank account, but potentially even more direct and immediate. CBDCs can be designed in a few different ways, such as retail CBDCs, where individuals and businesses have accounts directly with the central bank, or wholesale CBDCs, primarily used by financial institutions for large transactions and settlements. While the technology itself is fascinating, the true implications of CBDCs lie not just in the code, but in the potential shifts in power and control they represent. One of the most talked about features of CBDCs is their programmability. Imagine a world where money could be programmed to be spent only on specific goods or services, or only within a certain time frame. Proponents argue that this programmability could offer benefits like targeted social welfare programs, where funds are automatically allocated for specific needs, preventing fraud and misuse. However, the same technology that enables these seemingly positive applications could also be used for more nefarious purposes. Imagine a scenario where your government, unhappy with your political views or lifestyle choices, could restrict your access to certain goods and services by limiting how and where you can spend your own money. The programmability of CBDCs represents a double-edged sword, offering both potential benefits and significant risks. The appeal of CBDCs for governments and central banks is undeniable. They offer a level of control and oversight over the financial system that is simply not possible with physical cash or even existing electronic payment systems. In a world where governments are increasingly concerned about tax evasion, money laundering, and the financing of terrorism, CBDCs present an alluring tool for tracking and controlling the flow of money. However, this increased control comes at a cost: the erosion of individual privacy and financial autonomy. With CBDCs, every purchase, every transfer, every financial decision could be recorded, analyzed, and potentially used against you. As we navigate the complex and rapidly evolving landscape of digital currencies, we must strike a delicate balance between the need for financial security and the preservation of our fundamental freedoms. The potential for government overreach with CBDCs is not a matter of if, but when and how much. Imagine a scenario where dissent is met with restricted access to funds, Picture a world where supporting an unapproved cause leads to your digital wallet being frozen. The very nature of CBDCs, with their centralized control and potential for programmability, makes them ripe for abuse by governments seeking to stifle dissent and maintain control. The lines between economic policy and social engineering could become blurred, with financial incentives and penalties used to nudge citizens towards desired behaviors. The potential for abuse is undeniable, and history is replete with examples of governments exploiting new technologies to consolidate power and control their populations. The global race towards CBDC implementation is well underway, but not all countries are moving at the same pace or with the same motivations. While some nations, particularly in the West, seem eager to embrace this new form of centralized control, others are approaching CBDCs with caution or outright resistance. In many Western nations where trust in government has been steadily eroding, the push for CBDCs is often met with skepticism and suspicion. In contrast, some countries, particularly in the developing world, view CBDCs as a potential solution to long-standing challenges like financial inclusion and access to credit. However, even in these contexts, concerns about privacy and control remain, and striking the right balance between innovation and individual rights will be crucial. The rise of CBDCs may seem inevitable, but it's far from a foregone conclusion. The future of money is not predetermined. It's being written right now, and each of us has a role to play in shaping that future. The good news is that the very act of digitizing the global financial system creates new opportunities for resistance and decentralization. Just as the internet empowered individuals to bypass traditional gatekeepers of information, the digital currency revolution empowers us to explore alternative financial systems and assert our financial sovereignty. One powerful tool at our disposal is diversification. By spreading our assets across different asset classes, geographic locations, and financial systems, we reduce our dependence on any single currency or government. The key is to reduce our vulnerability to the whims of any single entity and create a more resilient financial portfolio. For decades, the US dollar has reigned supreme as the world's reserve currency. This privileged status has conferred enormous benefits on the United States, allowing it to borrow cheaply, maintain a persistent trade deficit, and project its economic and military might across the globe. However, the once unshakable dominance of the dollar is showing signs of strain. The relentless printing of money, ballooning national debt, and increasingly weaponized use of sanctions by the US government have eroded trust in the dollar and fueled a global search for alternatives. The writing is on the wall. The era of unipolar financial hegemony is coming to an end. This shift away from the dollar has profound implications for the future of the global financial system and the balance of power on the world stage. In recent years, the United States has increasingly resorted to economic sanctions as a tool of foreign policy, wielding the dollar like a weapon to punish adversaries, coerce compliance, and advance its geopolitical interests. From Russia to Iran, Venezuela to North Korea, the list of countries targeted by US sanctions has grown steadily, often with devastating consequences for their economies and citizens. However, this heavy-handed approach has not gone unnoticed by the rest of the world. Nations, particularly those with strained relations with the US, are increasingly wary of holding their reserves in a currency that can be weaponized against them at a moment's notice. This has fueled a global trend towards de-dollarization, with countries seeking to reduce their reliance on the dollar by promoting the use of alternative currencies and establishing bilateral trade agreements. By overplaying its hand and using the dollar as a cudgel, the US risks undermining the very system it helped create and accelerating its own decline as the dominant global power. Section 3. A new Bretton Woods moment. the global quest for financial independence. The current geopolitical and economic landscape bears striking similarities to the period following World War II, when the Bretton Woods Agreement established a new global financial order with the US dollar at its center. Today, the decline of US hegemony, the rise of new economic powers, and the proliferation of digital technologies are reshaping the global financial system. The key question is not whether this transformation will occur, but what form it will take, leading to a more multipolar and equitable world order. The answer depends on the choices made by individual nations. Debunking the promise of CBDCs for the unbanked, proponents argue CBDCs promote financial inclusion. They envision everyone accessing the formal financial system. This appeals to policymakers and development organizations, but this claim is often a mirage driven by control. Real barriers are systemic and socio-economic, not technological. Poverty, lack of education, and distrust perpetuate exclusion. CBDCs alone won't solve financial vulnerability. Section 2, the illusion of control, why CBDCs won't stop tax evasion. Another argument frequently invoked in favor of CBDCs is their purported ability to combat tax evasion and illicit financial flows. Governments around the world lose trillions of dollars each year to tax havens, money laundering schemes, and other forms of financial crime. CBDCs, with their potential for real-time tracking and transaction monitoring, are portrayed as a silver bullet that can finally bring these shadowy activities to heel. While it is undeniable that CBDCs could provide governments with greater visibility into financial transactions, the notion that they will eliminate tax evasion is a dangerous illusion. Those who engage in sophisticated tax evasion schemes are not simply stuffing cash under their mattresses, they are using complex legal structures, offshore accounts, and shell corporations to hide their wealth and evade scrutiny. These actors are highly motivated and resourceful, and they will quickly adapt to the introduction of CBDCs, finding new and innovative ways to circumvent the system. Moreover, the increased surveillance powers afforded by CBDCs could have unintended consequences, pushing more economic activity into the shadows. Individuals and businesses concerned about privacy and the potential for government overreach may turn to alternative currencies, barter systems, or other informal mechanisms to transact outside the purview of the state. This could lead to a decline in tax revenue and a weakening of the formal financial system, ultimately undermining the very goals that CBDCs are intended to achieve. Section 3, a slippery slope, from financial surveillance to social engineering. Perhaps the most insidious aspect of CBDCs is not their immediate impact, but rather their potential to normalize financial surveillance and pave the way for more intrusive forms of social control. Once the infrastructure for tracking and monitoring every transaction is in place, the temptation to use it for purposes beyond its original intent will be difficult to resist. What begins as a tool to combat tax evasion or money laundering can easily morph into a mechanism for monitoring and controlling citizen behavior. Imagine a world where your access to credit, insurance, or even essential services is linked to your social credit score, your political affiliations, or your adherence to government-mandated health guidelines. While such scenarios may seem far-fetched today, they become all too plausible in a world where financial surveillance is normalized and the lines between our economic and social lives become increasingly blurred. The danger of CBDCs lies not just in the technology itself, but in the mindset it engenders. A mindset where financial privacy is seen as a luxury, where citizens are treated as suspects by default, and where the state assumes an ever-expanding role in regulating and controlling our lives. This is not a future we should passively accept. Section 1. The spectre of financial discrimination when money becomes a moral compass. One of the most insidious dangers of programmable CBDCs lies in their potential to enable a level of financial discrimination never before imaginable. Imagine a world where your spending habits become a reflection of your moral worth, where your access to essential goods and services is contingent on your adherence to a government-sanctioned social credit system. This is not a dystopian fantasy. It is the logical endpoint of a system where money is no longer a neutral medium of exchange, but a tool for shaping and controlling individual behavior. With programmable CBDCs, governments could easily restrict spending on certain goods or services deemed undesirable or harmful. Imagine a scenario where purchases of sugary drinks, tobacco products, or even firearms are automatically blocked regardless of your personal beliefs or individual circumstances. While such measures might be framed as promoting public health or safety, they represent a dangerous encroachment on individual liberty and autonomy. The potential for discrimination extends far beyond simple product restrictions. Imagine a world where your carbon footprint, your political donations, or even your social media activity is linked to your CBDC account. Those deemed to have a negative impact on society could face higher transaction fees, restricted access to credit, or even exclusion from certain social welfare programs. In such a system, financial inclusion becomes a tool for enforcing conformity and punishing dissent. Section 2, the cashless cage, CBDCs and the erosion of freedom of choice. The allure of a cashless society is often presented as a matter of convenience and efficiency. No more fumbling with coins or waiting for change. Just seamless, instantaneous digital transactions. While convenient, a cashless world shifts power, eroding our freedom of choice. Cash symbolizes autonomy and privacy, free from surveillance. In a cashless world, every transaction leaves a digital trail, threatening individual liberty. Section 3. A world without walls. The power of decentralization in the age of digital fiat. The rise of CBDCs may seem unstoppable, but it's not inevitable. The digital currency revolution creates new possibilities for financial autonomy. Decentralized cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin offer a compelling alternative. Transactions are secure, transparent, and resistant to manipulation. A growing ecosystem of decentralized finance or DeFi platforms is emerging. This space holds immense promise for a more inclusive financial system. Section 1. Beyond the digital iron curtain, diversifying your way to financial freedom. Imagine a world where your wealth is no longer confined by the digital borders of your home country, where your financial freedom is not subject to the whims of a single government or central bank. This is not a utopian dream, it is the very real promise of diversification, a time-tested strategy for mitigating risk and preserving wealth in an increasingly uncertain world. For decades, the mantra of diversification has been drilled into the minds of investors, urging them to spread their bets across different asset classes, industries, and geographies. This sage advice, once primarily focused on maximizing returns, takes on a new urgency in the age of CBDCs, where the stakes are not just financial, but existential. By diversifying beyond the digital iron curtain of centralized control, we can safeguard our wealth and preserve our financial autonomy in a world where the rules of the game are rapidly changing. The first step in this journey is to de-risk your life by reducing your dependence on any single currency, particularly one controlled by a government with a track record of economic mismanagement or a penchant for financial repression. This might involve diversifying into foreign currencies, precious metals, or even cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, which operate independently of any government or central bank. The key is to hold a basket of assets that are less susceptible to the same risks and vulnerabilities. Section 2, going global, practical steps to protect your assets in a turbulent world. Once you've diversified your assets, it's time to consider diversifying your physical presence. This doesn't necessarily mean packing your bags and moving to a remote island, although that's certainly an option. It's about having options, about creating a plan B, a safety net, in case your home country becomes inhospitable to your values or your financial well-being. One option is to obtain a second passport or residency in a country with a more favorable economic and political climate. Many countries offer citizenship or residency by investment programs, allowing you to establish a legal foothold in another country relatively easily. When choosing a destination, consider factors like economic stability, political freedom, tax policies, and the overall quality of life. Beyond formal residency or citizenship, there are other ways to establish a presence in another country. You might consider opening an offshore bank account, setting up a business, or even just spending a significant amount of time in a country that aligns with your values and your financial goals. The key is to create options to reduce your dependence on any single jurisdiction and to build a life that is resilient to political and economic turmoil. Section 3. Your escape plan for financial freedom. Building a lifeboat for uncertain times. In a world of increasing volatility and uncertainty, it's not enough to simply hope for the best. We must be prepared for the possibility that things could go wrong, that our home countries could become hostile to our values or our financial well-being. This is where the concept of a lifeboat comes in, a metaphorical vessel stocked with the essential provisions needed to weather a storm. Your financial lifeboat is more than just a collection of assets. It's a comprehensive plan for ensuring your safety and security in times of crisis. It's about having a clear understanding of your options, having the necessary documents and resources in order, and being mentally and emotionally prepared to take action if and when the need arises. This might involve having a go bag packed with essential documents, cash and supplies, ready to grab at a moment's notice. It might also mean having a network of trusted contacts in different countries, people you can rely on for support and assistance in case of emergency. The specifics of your lifeboat will vary depending on your individual circumstances, but the underlying principle is the same. Be prepared to act decisively to protect yourself and your loved ones in times of crisis. Section 1. The crossroads of finance, a call to awareness. We stand at a crossroads in the evolution of money, a pivotal moment that will shape the financial landscape for generations to come. The rise of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, presents both unprecedented opportunities and profound challenges. A double-edged sword that could either usher in a new era of financial inclusion and innovation, or solidify a system of unprecedented control and surveillance. The choice ultimately rests in our hands. Ignorance is not bliss, it is a recipe for disaster. We cannot afford to be passive observers in this unfolding drama. We must educate ourselves about the intricacies of CBDCs, their potential benefits and their inherent risks. We must engage in open and honest conversations about the future of money, challenging the narratives of those in power and demanding greater transparency and accountability. We must be vigilant in defending our financial privacy and autonomy, resisting attempts to erode our freedoms under the guise of progress or security. This is not about succumbing to fear or paranoia, it's about embracing a sober understanding of the stakes involved. The future of money is not predetermined, it is being written right now, and each of us has a role to play in shaping that future. By embracing awareness, by questioning assumptions, by demanding better from our leaders and ourselves, we can navigate this crossroads with wisdom and courage, charting a course towards a future where financial freedom and individual sovereignty prevail. Section 2. Charting your course, navigating the future of money. The future of money is not a spectator sport, it's a participatory event, a collective endeavor that demands our active engagement and unwavering commitment to the principles of freedom and autonomy. As we've explored throughout this journey, the tools and strategies for navigating this uncertain terrain are within our grasp. Diversification, decentralization, and a global mindset are not just buzzwords. They are essential components of a resilient financial strategy for the 21st century. Diversify your assets, spreading your wealth across different asset classes, geographic locations, and financial systems. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, especially when that basket is controlled by an entity with a vested interest in maintaining its power and control. Explore the world of decentralized cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, which offer a compelling alternative to the centralized control of CBDCs. Consider obtaining a second passport or residency in a country that aligns with your values and your financial goals. But diversification is not just about protecting your wealth. It's about expanding your horizons, about embracing a global perspective that transcends the artificial borders and outdated ideologies that divide us. The world is a vast and interconnected place, full of opportunities for those willing to look beyond their immediate surroundings, connect with like-minded individuals, learn from different cultures, and embrace the power of a decentralized world. Section 3. Join the movement. Embrace freedom, embrace the future. The fight for financial freedom is not a solitary pursuit. It's a global movement, a collective awakening of individuals from all walks of life who recognize the inherent dangers of centralized control and are committed to building a better future for themselves and generations to come. We are entrepreneurs, artists, technologists, educators, and everyday citizens united by a shared belief in the power of individual sovereignty and the importance of a free and open financial system. Join us. Become part of a vibrant and growing community of individuals who are actively shaping the future of money. Share your knowledge, your skills, and your passion with others. Support organizations and initiatives that are working to promote financial literacy. Empower the unbanked and build a more equitable and accessible financial system. The future is not something that happens to us. It is something we create. The choices we make today will determine the course of our lives and the fate of our freedoms. Let us choose wisely. Let us choose freedom. Let us choose a future where money is a tool for empowerment, not control, a force for good in the world, and a testament to the enduring spirit of human ingenuity and collaboration. The time to act is now. Join the movement, embrace freedom, embrace the future.